So my synopsis was off of the first part of it, which is defining what is faith and how does the Bible describe it. When you look at faith as it pertains to the Hebrew meaning, the word is called imuna, and it reveals a life that is in full and total compliance or reliance upon God. The words that is closely associated with faith is belief and trust and confidence. The first Bible verse that we are presented with is the Bible verse that most of us as Christians, or if you read the Bible, you already have associated, which is faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence for things not seen. Um, to interpret faith, you must apply the formula. I'm a person that's really big on formulas. So when you look at this Bible verse, it actually gives you the different ingredients that it has when it comes to creating faith. So again, it says that faith, which is broken down into easier terms, is the substance, meaning it is the physical matter or material of existence. Meaning that faith is a physical result that is given to us. It is seen, it is the seen, the manifested result of what we require. So ingredient one is the things that are hoped for. It means the things that we anticipate, the things that we associate as what is better for us, something that we truly
Amen.
believe that is coming. It implies the expectation of obtaining or getting what is desired, what we want from God, right? And these things are maybe something that we are prophesied about or something that we've been praying so long about. And this is what the things hoped for is in ingredient one of faith. Now, ingredient two talks about the evidence, right? In the original Greek meaning, the evidence means it is a proof or a persuasion or a witness. When you think about the legality of things, if you've ever looked at law, right? So in the legal sense, if you ever had to go to court or seen any type of shows, the lawyer has to produce or gather evidence to basically point out if an individual is innocent or guilty, right? The showing of the evidence is proof whether an individual in truth committed an act, or it is showing in fact that the individual that either committed the act was there. So they have complete, there is a complete evidence of them being there. Therefore, the evidence is putting to test and examining for the purpose of proving and building facts for our own benefit. The benefit is to increase our own convictions. It is the conviction that God truly exists, and is only by his doing that we gain the things that we hope for. The consistent producing of evidence from God will allow us to gain greater and greater convictions, and this will increase our total and full reliance of God, as I had defined before. So I would like to demonstrate what it is to enact this formula of faith, right? So I've given a testimony before that my son, he was 1.5 and he couldn't move, like a regular 1.5-year-old should, which is walking, talking. And when I visited the prayer mountain, the first thing that I discussed was me seeing my son being made whole, or seeing my son doing these things. And Apostle said, okay, you need to envision him being made whole. And that became my ingredient one, which is my thing hoped for. My thing hoped for was to seeing my son being whole. Now, what's so interesting is after a month, there started to become evidence. The first evidence was him rolling over. So much so that I was not able to keep him on the bed anymore because he's rolling over. That's our first evidence. So because of that first evidence, you see my faith now being increased because I'm seeing something moving. Even though the thing hoped for, the final state, what I want to see my son in is to be walking and moving and speaking. But the first evidence of that is him rolling. Now, next month later, you see him sitting up by himself. Again, my thing hoped for is his final state. However, the evidence number two is that he's now sitting up by himself. And we see as he's going on, the evidence that God is giving me of him working on my thing hoped for is that he's starting to do things that a normal 2-year-old is doing. And most of us, when we start to look at our situations and we're like, why is God not working? It's because we're not seeing the evidence. We're only seeing the thing hoped for, which is one part of formula, but we're not seeing the second part, which is the evidence. And it's so much so that God is putting that evidence in and in and in, which now he's climbing and he's starting to walk. Now my evidence locker, the thing that proves my conviction to God, is now full. There is nothing that I cannot say that God hasn't moved in this direction and God hasn't answered prayer, because my evidence locker is overfull with so much proof of God working on my things hoped for. So I guess my encouragement today is, you have to, when you're not seeing anything moving, or you think that God is not answering your prayer, turn to your evidence locker and see what that looks like. See how much things he's moving into that final state of what your thing hoped for is. Because I can guarantee you, if you start to look at the things that is in that evidence, then you'll see that the end state, that the thing that you're hoping for, is coming.